Howdy, it's Uncle Paul, and I would like your opinion on a backpack I am considering to purchase.
Okay, now I grew up on Mama's meatloaf, and I've always loved it. And it's not a low-carb meal typically, a low-carb dish, because it uses either breadcrumbs or my mom generally used saltine crackers. And so that's not very low-carb. So I thought, well, I've missed Mama's meatloaf, so I want to make a meatloaf, but I want to make it low carb. And so here's the ingredients that I use. I go ahead and use ground turkey. The main reason for that is, of course, it's got no carbs, but it was only $1.47 for this pound of ground turkey, and I like turkey, so that's the main reason I'm using it right now. Takes 1 egg. This is a binder along with the egg. This is pork rinds, and I just put it in a bag and crunched them up, and I kind of have a heaping cupful, as you see there. Also a quarter of a white onion chopped up, hard to see on that plate, and then either a small jar of pecani sauce of some brand or Rotel tomatoes, diced tomatoes and green chilies. Both of these, either one of these, I don't use both of them. I use one or the other because they're both pretty low carb. This one's got a little more carbs than the Rotel, not much. So that's the only ingredients other than salt and pepper. So now let me put all this together. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Get that going. Now I've put the pound of ground turkey in the dish here, as you can see. Next, I'm going to add the 1 egg. And then I am going to go ahead and mix that together. I've washed my hands, so they're clean. Just kind of get that a good mix. And then I'm going to add the pork rinds and go ahead and add the onion, which you don't necessarily have to have onion, but it does help with the moisture, gives your meatloaf a little bit more moisture. Okay, clean off my hands here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use the pecani sauce. Now, what I do is I usually use about half of it. I mix in with the loaf here. Once again, to give it some flavor and some moisture. Give that a good mix. Okay, now one thing I usually do is I'll pop this in the refrigerator because, you know, the ground turkey, it kind of falls apart easily. So I put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes so it'll solidify just a bit and it's easier to make a loaf out of. So let me do that. Okay, it's been in the fridge for about 15 minutes. One thing I did forget to put in was the salt and pepper. So put in a decent amount of that sea salt and some black pepper. And the meat is not quite as loose. It's easier to handle, but let me get that salt and pepper in real quick. Okay. And then I'm going to get it in that baking dish here. There we go. Make a bit of a loaf out of it. Put a little more pepper on top. And I'm going to put the rest of the pecani sauce on here. Just pour it. And now it is ready to go into the oven. All right, oven's preheated. I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on it for the first 30 minutes. I'll leave it in a total of an hour. All right, 30 minutes, we'll check on it.
Okay, I just took it out of the oven. It's been in there for a total of an hour. After 30 minutes, I put it back in after I took the lid off. And as you can see, there's still plenty of juice in there. So I could have left it off for the whole time. Matter of fact, I might put it in there for just a few more minutes. But it is done, and this will make 4 meals. I'll make 4 different meals out of this, add vegetables for each meal. So I'll just cut it in quarters like that. All right, guys, there's a low-carb turkey meatloaf. I'm wanting to get my base weight down to 10 pounds, no more than 10 pounds, and my overall weight, pack weight, no more than 25 pounds. Now, one of the best ways to do that is to have a lighter backpack, and one of the lightest on the market really is the Z-Packs Nero. And as you see, this is a picture from the Z-Packs website, and the Nero pack is a frameless pack. It weighs 10.9 ounces, and with the pocket on the back, the big pocket, and on the sides, it has a total volume of 38 liters. But the load capacity is only 20 pounds. That's the maximum. Now, I'm sure that can be pushed. I'm sure a lot of people push those capacities, but I don't know about pushing it 5 more pounds. But there's a lot I like about this pack. One thing, it's $199, but also it has, because one of the criticisms of these kinds of packs, frameless packs, is they go up against your body flat, and when it's hot outside, it makes you sweat more and it makes you drink more, and I have to drink a lot of water already. And so, but this one has a sitting pad that is on, I don't know if it's called the front or the back part of the pack, but the part that goes right up against your back. You see there's a gray sitting pad, and it's held in there with some bungee type cords. And now what some people do is they remove that sitting pad and they replace it with a Thermarest Z-Lite pad. And that helps a little bit with the airflow because of the way the Z-Lite pad is made. The Z-Lite pad is made in an egg carton design. That's what they call it. And so it doesn't necessarily go flat up against your back, allowing some air to flow through. So that may be something that would help with that issue. But the volume, the total amount of the load capacity might be another issue. But I really like this pack, and it at only 10.9 ounces, my Osprey weighs a little over 2 pounds, I believe. So this could really cut some major weight for my overall backpack weight. Now, the only other backpack I would be interested in is from Mountain Laurel Designs. It's also a frameless pack. This one's called the Prophet, but it comes in at 16 ounces. It has a capacity of 48 liters, its volume, and its load capacity is 22 pounds at the top of the load capacity. So that gives me a little bit more room as far as how much I can carry. It's only $195, not much less than the Z-Packs Nero. But one thing that the Mountain Laurel Designs don't have that the Z-Packs does, the Nero does, is that it doesn't have the little bungee cord that would strap the sitting pad to it where it would go right up against your back, where I could put the Z-Lite pad. But that might be something that either I could have them do special, or I could figure out a way to make that work. But this one here is the Prophet. And the other pack by Mountain Laurel Designs that that is a strong contender would be their Exodus, and that's it right there. It also weighs 16 ounces, and it has a capacity of 48 liters, its volume, but it has a maximum load capacity of 25 pounds, and that's something I might feel much more comfortable with. So it's also $195, and these are made out of the same material as the Z-Packs Nero. So, of course, one of the big things about the Z-Packs Nero is it's only 10.9 ounces. These don't weigh a whole lot more, but they weigh in at a pound. I'm trying to save weight, but they will carry more. And also the Nero has the bungee straps that might work well. So anyway, guys, help me out if you wouldn't mind. If you like any of these packs, whatever pluses that you can think of, whatever negative things that you can think of, I would definitely appreciate your feedback. Well, before I go to the gym, I want to give you one more low-carb recipe. Now, you're going to want to hear this one. This is a memoir that my Uncle Bill wrote, and he's been dead now for quite a few years. He was my dad's oldest brother. But back in the day, well, he was born in 1923, and years ago on the farms, they'd have what they called hog killings. And so here's what he wrote. I remember the winter of 1927 and hog killing time. My Aunt Lena Roberts and some other members of the family came up from Austin, Texas. These were my grandmother's sisters, My grandfather was always in charge of killing, scalding, scraping, hanging, and opening the belly. I was really fascinated with all this, and I still remember him removing the head and telling someone to take it into my Aunt Lena to make souse. Being very curious about what souse meant, I followed them into the kitchen and watched my aunt proceed to remove the brains and place them in a pan. I think brains are pretty low carb. Next, she went for some eggs and whipped them like they were going to be for scrambled eggs. And then next, she mixed in the brains and poured all this into a large iron frying pan, and it was prepared for whoever wanted some. My aunt was famous for her souse, and after serving the fried egg and brains, she proceeded to remove the rest of the meat off the skull and make her souse. So, just to kind of feed everybody breakfast who was there to help with the hog killing, she made brains and eggs for whoever wanted it. But souse, from what I understand, is they would remove the ears and even the eyes and the skin or the meat off of the face and the head, and they would boil all that, and it was just this, sometimes they would pickle it, and it was just this gelatinous glob that they would put in jars or something, and they served it. I think it's also called head cheese. It's what's called head cheese. There's other names as well, and they served it either cold or at room temperature. So there you go, another low-cal recipe: brains and eggs and head cheese. But whatever our goals are, we need to keep the fire going. We need to keep the passion going. And, when we get off track, we need to get right back on track. And so I appreciate all the motivation you guys give me. I appreciate you sticking with me. One thing I'm motivated by, and I'm sure many of you are too, are those who are still through hiking right now. Yay Adventures and Not By Side and Chris Goes Outdoors, and Jen and Greg, Appalachian Trail Tales, and a number of others. They're getting close to the whites, that group, and they're just really going strong, and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm inspired by that. So anyway, guys, let's keep moving forward. Let's keep progressing. Once again, thanks for your motivation, and I'll see you next week.